Welcome to the Wealthy Living Podcast. I'm Lisa, your host and founder of Wealthy Living. It is here that I will connect with wonderful guests, each doing their part to promote well-being in a variety of ways. It is my intention to facilitate inspiring and insightful conversations where I will do my best to draw out the knowledge, experiences, actionable ideas and wisdom of my guests to help you live a meaningful, connected and well life, both personally and professionally. So over the last decade, we've been seeing women internationally banding together to assert greater control over their rights, their safety, their health and their professional success. It is clear that women aren't finding opportunities in traditional corporate paths that meet their needs, and as such are creating their own path to finding more flexible ways to utilize their skills and create more meaningful, fulfilling lives for themselves. Women are launching businesses, hiring teams, and ranking in revenues on a global scale like we've never seen before. However, despite the progress, we're still facing unique challenges that male entrepreneurs simply don't face. To dive deep into the topic of women entrepreneurship, motherhood and career, the challenges and fears holding women back, and why investing in women is so important, I have today a very special guest, keynote speaker, author, CEO and founder of the Women's Business School, Ausmumpreneur, and host of Women Will Change the World TV, Peace Mitchell. Welcome, Peace.
Hi, Lisa. It's wonderful to be here.
Yes, it's so good to have you on the show today. So Peace is passionate about supporting women to reach their full potential, and with a community of over 70,000 followers, has helped women, thousands and thousands of women, achieve their dream of running a successful and profitable business and creating a life that works for them and their families. Peace and her sister Katie co-founded Ausmumpreneurs in 2009, creating Australia's #1 community for mothers in business, and co-founded the Women's Business School in 2016 to provide entrepreneurial education for women. A voice for women, Peace has worked with all levels of government to create change, changing local government legislation to create more inclusive town planning, partnering with state government to provide 1 million for small business owners, and calling for national conversation on women entrepreneurs at a federal level. Peace is an everyday activist raising awareness about Australian and global issues and inspiring women to create change in a positive way. Her weekly Facebook live show, Women Will Change the World TV, highlights the work of Australian and international women changing the world through activism, entrepreneurialism, advocacy, and innovation. So as you can see, Peace is an incredible change agent, supporting and inspiring women to follow their dreams and create a bigger vision for themselves, their lives, and the lives of those around them. So you're amazing and incredible woman, and I feel blessed to have come across your path quite a few years ago and seen so many wonderful things that you're doing for women all around the world, and especially here in Australia. Now, I've heard you say that investing in women is the most powerful way to change the world. And some may say that's quite a big statement. So can you share with us why you believe this to be true?
Thanks, Lisa. It's a great question. And I do believe that investing in women is the #1 way to change the world. You know, for the last few hundred years, men have been kind of running the show. They've been in all of the leadership roles at a government level. They've been leading the way in business. And it's their ideas and their voices which have shaped the way that the world is right now. And it's time for women to step up, really is. Women bring a completely different and unique perspective to all of the challenges that the world is facing. They see things in a different way. And if their ideas can be heard, they have the potential to create real change, at an environmental level, at a social level, at a health level, in education, in all of those areas. But women have been held back over the last many hundreds of years, and still today, there's women around the world who don't have the opportunities to have their ideas put forward and to have a voice. And so if we can invest in women, in empowering women to rise up and share their ideas, to invest financially in women to get their ideas off the ground as entrepreneurs, if we can invest in women's education to give them the skills and tools that they need to get things going, we can really see massive change across all of the problems the world is facing right now. It would be truly powerful if we had the power to rise these women up.
Yeah. And I totally agree with you, but I'm just interested, why do you feel that that by involving women as opposed to either predominantly men, which, are humans as well, why do you see that by involving women at these leadership levels or at these business as entrepreneurs and creating their own initiatives, how do you see that as changing the world?
I see it very much as not just women rising up and taking over everything. That's not what it's about at all.
Yeah.
It's all about women and men coming together to co-create the future, to create a new vision for how things work. For example, the corporate structure of this idea of 9 to 5 and everyone turns up at 9 and they go home at 5 and you have to go to the office and sit at a desk. That's a very masculine and traditional way of thinking about work. Mm-hmm. But from a woman's perspective, particularly if they're a mother and they're raising children, a more flexible approach makes so much sense. We've got the technology to be able to work from home. And so if we were to recreate that structure, what would that look like? What would be an outcome that would be great for men and women? And so it's about looking at that, at that bigger level of if women were able to, rise up and share their voice and share their ideas, we'd come up with better solutions that work for everyone, not just for women. They would work for men as well, and working together with men to bring ideas forward.
Yeah, thanks. So you've done a lot of research into women and entrepreneurship. Can you share some of your major findings?
I can. I'm actually doing some research at the moment. I've got a survey happening and I've been really surprised with the results. One of the things that I've been curious about and a trend that I've seen over the years is with running the Ausmumpreneur Awards, we introduced the category of making a difference in about 2012. And since then, every year, that category has been the most popular by far. I find that women don't start businesses just to make a profit. Sure, they want to make a profit. They need to be financially viable. But for so many women, it's bigger than that. It's their calling. It's this idea of making a difference in some way through the work that they're doing in the world. And yeah, I think that that's one of the biggest things that have come out of the research that I've done is that the stats are reflecting that, because that was just an idea that I had, that women were starting businesses because they wanted to make a difference and they were very purpose driven, but the stats actually back that up. It's, I can't remember the exact stats off the top of my head, but when the question asked, why did you start your business? What was driving that? Was it like a financial outcome or following your calling or better flexibility? Right up there at the top is following your calling and making a difference.
So you're really finding that women have got a focus way beyond profit. So their purpose is way beyond their profit, and they're really looking to make a difference in the world around them, I suppose. So they're doing a lot of businesses that have got a social enterprise or a social element to their business. Is that what you're finding?
Yeah, absolutely. And some of them for some women, it's they're making a difference for their own family because they're creating a lifestyle that enables them to spend more time with their children and their own family. And then other women are doing things that are benefiting their local community, and they're doing things that are helping at that level. And then there's women who are doing things on a statewide level or a national level or a global level. So I love the diversity of it. Women come at it from all sorts of different angles, and the problems that they're solving are completely diverse as well. So there you'll see women who are doing things in the environmental space, or women who are doing things helping animals, or women doing things helping the homeless, or domestic violence, or social issues. So yeah, I get really excited about that, the diversity of kinds of businesses and enterprises that are coming through, and the potential for women truly to change the world because they do bring that sense of nurturing to business. Yeah. And for thousands of years, women have been the nurturers. You know, if you look back traditionally, men were the breadwinners and women were the homemakers, and that's been our role for so long. And we're seeing that transition, that change, that women aren't just staying at home with the children. And I guess, you know, we've been doing different things for a long time. But we're doing things at a bigger scale now with entrepreneurship, and more women entrepreneurs leading companies than ever before and starting businesses. And that potential for their ideas to go big is really exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. I'm seeing so much of that too, and it's really, really exciting. And I think what's really, and I'd love to hear your view on this, what's really interesting when you say that is that because because women, if they are mums, and not all women in business are mums, but the ones that are, because they're often still balancing the family, it means that possibly the kids are much more exposed to what they're doing at work and for their business than, say, I don't really recall, say, with my father. I mean, a little bit about as I got older, about what he was doing. But when I was younger, he was just going to work and coming home. What he was actually doing at work, I wasn't really privy to so much. But I think women being quite naturally sharers and involving everybody in what they do, I would imagine that women would be sharing with their kids these incredible initiatives that they're doing, and it's a great role model. So they're changing not only the world, but they're changing it through the next generation as well. So they're role modeling what it's like, one, to create an initiative, follow your dream, but even the actual content of what they're putting out would be shared. And so then, not that they're there to condition the beliefs of the next generation, but they are definitely influencing that next generation to have that social innovation mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm seeing lots of that happening as well, where kids are helping their parents, like their mums, with the business and doing different things and being inspired to start their own initiatives as well. I'm seeing a lot of that. So that's pretty exciting as well. Like, what will the next generation of young women and girls be doing in 20 years' time? It's exciting.
Very exciting. So what are some of the unique challenges for women that male entrepreneurs simply just don't seem to face?
I think for women as mothers, as much as we've changed so many things and we've got childcare now, there still is that assumption that the mother will be the primary caregiver. And yes, we are starting to see more and more stay-at-home dads and dads taking on that primary caregiving role, but it's still a tiny percentage. So for most women, they do take on the load, I guess, of all of the household responsibilities, of all the cooking, the cleaning, the child rearing, remembering when things are happening at school, remembering when family members' birthdays are, organising everything for Christmas and special occasions like that. And so, the weight of having to do all of that, it's huge. And it's a challenge that most men don't have to the same extent. And I know times have changed and men are certainly chipping in a lot more than they were, 2 or 3 generations ago. But I believe that in the women that I speak to, they're still doing the majority of that childcare, of running kids to school. If someone's sick, it's the mum who gets called from the school. Even if the dad's first on the list, they'll still call the mum first.
Yeah.
And it's just that expectation that if you do a call out for parent helpers, it's going to be all the mums' names on that list at school. And yeah, there's that extra challenge, the mental load, and as well as, like, it's not just things that are in your mind, it's things you actually have to do, like buy the groceries and make dinner, because otherwise it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's a huge challenge for women.
Yeah. And look, there are a lot of women who are obviously choosing to get a lot of help in those areas now. But like you said, there are a lot of women who are trying to balance it all. And I suppose my concern on a wellbeing perspective with that is, on one hand, it's fantastic that women are going to follow their dreams and creating things in the world that they're really either passionate about or just want to do, that fulfills their life on a bigger level than just not just pet motherhood, because that's certainly a job in itself, but have a more encompassing life of a lot of things. But is that adding, because the balance is so hard, is that adding to so much more stress, which then, instead of being a good role model like we talked before, are mothers becoming shorter, less present, and more stressed with their children, because it's like their children are interrupting the work that they then have to get done, because a lot of mothers do work from home. So there isn't often a very clear boundary, and it's very difficult to have that clear boundary between your role as a mother and your role as a businesswoman. And unless obviously you're going to an office and coming home, it's a little bit different. But if you are working from home, that's tough. So
yeah, it's huge. It is huge. It's a huge issue. And I see a lot of women facing burnout because they are trying to do their best at everything. And one of the things about business, as you know, if you wanted to work 24/7, you could.
Yeah.
There's always more jobs to do. There's always more marketing you could do. There's always more ideas you could come up with. You could fill all of the hours in the day. And I think the key, as you said, is having those set boundaries in place. So it's physical boundaries. If you're able to, if you've got a separate area in your room, in your house, a room where you can close the door and walk out of your office, then do that. Or it might be digital boundaries, like turning your computer off. I never turn my computer on in the evenings or on weekends. I just don't. I work while my kids are at school. But the other thing which has become increasingly a problem is mobile phones, because it means you can never switch off. And in the survey that I'm doing, I asked a question about mobile phone use, and, you know, they love the convenience of having their phone and being able to go out and do things on the weekend and whatever. But it's really increasingly difficult to actually switch off from work. So it's like you're constantly working. So that is definitely a challenge that I see women facing. And you're right, from a wellbeing perspective, we really need to be aware of that and to be sending a message out to women that it doesn't have to be like that. That's not what running your business should look like. And to remember why they started their business, because a lot of women, they started their business because they wanted more time with their family, not more work. And so just reinforcing that message and sharing strategies about what that actually looks like is really important. So for me, if I can share a strategy, when I am feeling that way, that burnt out and kind of too much and I need to step away from everything, I actually delete all of my apps from my phone. I delete Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, LinkedIn, Pinterest, even email. And I'm telling you, that feels like a rebellious act to do that, because what if someone wants to contact me? Well, you know what? If someone wants to contact me, they can ring me. I don't delete like the phone, but just getting rid of everything and sometimes I'll do it on a Friday afternoon. I'll have the whole weekend off and not look at social media at all. And I think it's really important to have strategies like that in place so that you're not constantly working, because, you know, I've been in business 10 years. And in my first year or two, I was a workaholic. I was just working constantly. And that startup phase kind of demands that of you, because there's so much to do to pull a business together, particularly when you're building something from scratch. And yeah, like the negative consequences of that, of being a workaholic, you know, friends stop asking you out because you're always saying, no, I can't, I've got to work. Your partner or husband will start getting cranky with you and saying, never spend time together, what's going on? Your kids start resenting you and saying, well, you're always on the computer. For me, I put on weight as well. So I was just eating things all the time. Like I didn't have time to stop and have a proper healthy lunch or make a proper breakfast. And so, you know, that I've seen marriages break down. It's really important to have that balance. And for me, I came to a moment where it was like my whole family had gone out for a family lunch together, and I was like, I can't go. I've got too much to do. I'm on deadline. It has to be done. And my husband was really upset with me for not going. It was Father's Day. It was a special lunch with his grandfather that I missed. And that was the last Father's Day we had with him. You know, I can't go back and ever get that moment back again. And that was a huge lesson for me. And so after that happened, I realized that I needed to get serious about this, and I needed to put boundaries in place, because work is always going to be there, but life isn't. And that was when I started saying, okay, no more. I'm not going to work at night. At night, I'm just going to be with my family. I'm not going to work on weekends. I'm not going to miss any more camping trips or family outings because I'm working. I'm going to be with my family on weekends. So yeah, it's a huge issue, and I know it's something that a lot of women struggle with.
Yeah.
But the more we can get the message out about, you know, working in flow and having boundaries around your time and turning off notifications and turning off social media, that, you know, I think we can change things.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And I think that it is, like you said, something that a lot of women, including myself, really struggle with. And it is about, I think in general, not even just with work, women have always struggled a lot more with boundaries. And so I suppose in a way, having a business is like a personal development course in itself. So it's about, you know, your own growth and being able to have boundaries and say no, and make original agreements, whether it be with clients, whether it be with colleagues, whether it be with, you know, your own staff or your family, that there are actual agreed upon, I suppose, agreements that are in place that help you then keep to the boundaries, because some effective communication has happened right from the start. You know, and I also find even just time blocking or really planning the day and scheduling in those breaks really helps. But yeah, like you said, it is a real balance. And I think what I'm seeing happening with a lot of women, and I have got clients that really struggle with that boundaries, is with the boundaries of working all those hours as well, is that a lot of women go into business, like you said, for that extra flexibility and to be doing things in a way that's different than the corporate market is doing. They are finding that that corporations are following a much more, like you said, although it's changing, a much more male-orientated way. So they're going to business to do it their own unique feminine way, yet they seem to be kind of crossing that line of like going out of their feminine and practicing more of that masculine way within their own business. So like you said, I think it's really, you know, one of the really vital things that you said is for women to come back to themselves and ask themselves that question really regularly: why did I start this business? And really answer it honestly.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I do see women getting caught up in the masculine idea of like hustling and, you know, working hard and like looking at their competitors and trying to be the best, and that scrambling around trying to hustle and work and be on all the time. But you don't have to do that to be successful in business.
I think one of Yeah, I think one of the things that might be contributing to that, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, is that for a long time, and I think even still now, women starting a business, especially when mums have started businesses, their partners or their family or even some of their friends have not necessarily taken them seriously. And there's been this really fine line of, oh, this is just your hobby, as opposed to this is your business. So because the person starting the business, the woman, knows that that's not true and they are serious about what they're doing, because of the views of the external, they end up coming out of their own power of what they really know to be true and trying to prove themselves to the external opinions. So they're looking for that external validation that what they're doing is important and serious. So then end up crossing the line of working in a way that says, if I work this many hours and I push myself and I hustle, then it looks like it's a business and not a hobby.
Mm.
Do you fit?
Yeah, and yes to those external factors, but you know what else? The internal. It's the fear. It's the scarcity. No, I'm not making enough money. I'm going to have to go back and get a job. I have to work harder so that I can be more successful. If I just do more hours, then it'll work. But the ironic thing is that when you're a workaholic and you're working all those hours, you do, and like all those negative things start happening that I told you about, your relationships and put on weight and all that horrible stuff, you start to resent the business.
Yeah.
And when that starts to happen, your clients pick up on that. They can pick up on negative energy a mile off. And so even though you're working so hard and you're trying all these things, you're getting less clients because they're not attracted to that positive excitement that you used to have. So it's a really vicious circle. Really is.
So would you say the bottom line in all that is to really come back and really assess your own values, really assess why you've gone into this in the first place, and then make choices, continuously reflect so that you're making choices every single day that reflect your own unique values?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think there's work to do around overcoming fear and recognizing that the inner critic voice in your mind as well, because your inner critic can tell you all sorts of things which just completely aren't true. Yeah. It'll tell you, oh my gosh, your competitor, they're doing so much better than you. Look at them. They've got 20,000 more Instagram followers than you. What are you doing? You're never going to catch up to them. So that, that inner critic voice, you need to quieten that voice and say, you know what, it doesn't matter what my competitors are doing. I'm doing this. This is my vision. This is where I'm going with this business. They can do that. There's room for both of us. But I think that inner critic voice, it's powerful, and a lot of women are hearing it and they think it's the truth. They think it's their real voice. They don't understand that that's just fear coming through. So I feel like that's a big part of the puzzle as well for a lot of women.
Absolutely. Fear is unfortunately something that really gets a lot of people stuck from moving forward. So talking about that, do you think that really coming back and redefining for each individual what success actually means to them and how it's different from maybe the traditional models that they might have been having about success, which this inner critic is on the side of? So really refocusing and coming back to the core foundations of, what are your values and what does success actually mean to you? And what does it mean now? And what does it mean for you in this amount of time? And what does it mean for you in this amount of time?
Absolutely. I think having your own definition and being clear of what you think success is and what success will look like for you is hugely important. I remember having a real breakthrough moment around defining what success was for me, because I'd never really thought about it. It's this vague idea of fame and fortune and like when we make $1 million, then we'll be successful, blah, blah, blah. But actually when I went, well, wait a minute, what does success look like? Oh, does it mean I'll have my own private jet and a fancy car? And I was like, well, actually, I don't even want a private jet or a fancy car. Those things aren't what's important to me. What's important to me is having a life that I love and being able to spend time with my kids and going on the kindy excursion and going camping with my family. Like, those are the things that are important for me. And when I realized that, it was like a light bulb went off. It was like, oh, I already am successful. Wow. And it was huge. So knowing what success is for you and then feeling successful actually brings more success to you. And I think that mindset shift is hugely important. And again, it brings you back to, why did you start doing this?
Yeah.
What does success look like for you? It looks like flexibility and being able to work, but also be with my family. So yeah, it's huge.
Yeah. And I think that all comes down to that idea of how important it is to reflect, to take that time and build it into your day, or into your week at least, that you come back and reflect, and you have maybe some set reflection questions, or whether you're working with someone to debrief, or a coach or whatever, where you actually reflect back, but coming back always to that core foundational level and making sure that the foundations are actually not shaky, is really important. And those core, not just the business foundations, and I'm not even talking about the business systems, I'm actually talking about the core personal foundations.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I see so many women, they start their business and then they just go and they're just working, and they never like slow down to just stop and think, oh, what am I actually doing? Why am I doing this? There's people who are running their business without a business plan. The stats on that are huge. It's like 70% of people don't have a business plan. They're just working away without actually knowing what they're doing. So yeah, it's hugely important to be really conscious of what you're doing, why you're doing it, what you're wanting to achieve, not just for your business, not just the financial goals or your business goals, but for you. What do you want from your life? This is your life you're working with here, and you get to create whatever life you want. So what do you want it to look like? What's it going to be about? And I think people aren't necessarily asking those big questions, which is crazy to me, but
yeah.
Me
too. Yeah. So one of the things that you've created, which is absolutely phenomenal, which helps address some of these, helps people, I suppose, women all keep on track with each other, is a beautiful supportive community where women are really supporting each other, where they're lifting each other up, that they're being kind and generous, and they're holding space for each other's challenges. And they're inspiring each other. And this is the Ausmumpreneur community. So can you tell us a little bit about what's so great about this community? And why is it different than generally when you see women sometimes being very, competitive traditionally with each other? What's different about this sort of community, and why is it important to have a community of support?
It's really interesting because we started Ausmumpreneur back in 2009, so 10 years ago. But 10 years ago, things were very different from the way they are now. So if you had a business 10 years ago, there wasn't Facebook. It wasn't a thing. It certainly doesn't look like it does today. And so if you had a business, you'd go along to like the women's networking group, and you'd introduce yourself and you'd tell them you worked from home and you had children, and they would just, I remember being at an event and they would just like look down their nose at me, and they weren't interested at all, and they thought I was just playing around. Like you said before, it was just a hobby, a bit of a joke. And so I didn't fit in there, and I went along to my playgroup and spoke to the playgroup mums, like, I'm going to get this business going, it's going to be amazing, I'm going to be importing and exporting and doing all these things. And they looked at me like I was crazy as well. And so I found it really hard because I was in business with my sister, so some of my family understood what I was doing, but a lot of my friends and my wider network just didn't get it. They didn't understand why you would do that. And so I didn't have a lot of support around me. And as a result, my first couple of businesses completely failed because I didn't have somewhere where I could go and ask questions and get advice about what to do. It was really lacking. And And I realized that in the online space, you could find your people. There were other people, there were other mums out there who also wanted to create an online business so they could be with their kids. And that's really how Ausmumpreneur began, as this vision of bringing women together who were on that same path, who had that same vision of balancing motherhood and business to create the kind of life that they wanted. And so that's how it began. And it's been incredible watching that transform and grow over that time, because now it's a given that when women work from home, people work from home all the time. It's not seen as just like, oh, you're just playing and it's never going to be successful, because we know that women are running successful businesses from home and making millions of dollars doing that. So times have changed, but I think that need for support is still there, because it can be hugely isolating if you're working from home in a business by yourself. You don't have anyone to talk to, and that online community, that support is really, really valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think support is something in life that, again, women tend to give out a lot, but aren't so good at receiving. And so it is really beautiful that you've been able to create this really large community of mums from all different styles of businesses, whether it be women who are changing the world through social enterprises, people that have come up with innovative products, people that have got service-based industries, working in offices, working at home, all different mums in business, and they're all coming together, and it's beautiful. And you've been wonderfully being able to create a space where there really is real support, where if you put out something out online, asking a challenge or a question or wanting some help or a network, there are people who will genuinely give their time to help you. And
it's a beautiful
so
community.
Important. Yeah. And I think what's also happened with building a community like that is that small business starts to support small business. So therefore you're changing the lives of your own family, maybe with your business, but you're changing the lives of someone else's family by supporting their small business. And
absolutely.
Where your money's going really with supporting small businesses. So it's really beautiful. One thing that you have created, which I have been a part of and being able to see, is the awards, the Ausmumpreneur Awards. Now, how many years have you been doing those?
10 years this year. It's our anniversary.
Exciting. Yeah. So last year I had the privilege of being a judge for these awards, and I just was blown away by the calibre of Australian women in business. And I'm not just saying that. I really genuinely was blown away. Now, I had the opportunity of judging a number of different categories. So initially just looking at the women who changed the world, and I was thinking, oh my God, these women are incredible. And then on the day, being able to look at the ones that were doing the product innovation, and then ones that had gone through your women's business school, which we'll talk about in a second. And I almost just sat there thinking, maybe you should be in this judge position. I almost felt like a fraud sitting there judging these absolutely incredible women. And what a kudos to you for bringing such incredible women together and really championing their efforts. So with these awards, they're not just awards. There's a whole conference that you've now built around them. And as you said, this year is the 10th anniversary of them. Can you tell me a little bit about the conference? And if people, that are listening, if you don't know about it, they might be something that they might be, want to be a part of.
Yeah, well, for the first time this year, it's going to be a 3-day event. We're holding a VIP masterclass on Wednesday, the 4th of September. The conference itself starts on Thursday, the 5th of September. And then it's also on the Friday the 6th of September as well. So there's 3 days, and then the awards dinner is on Friday night. We've got networking drinks on Wednesday night, and on Thursday night we're holding a pitch night for our women's business school students. So it's amazing. We've got so much going on, and we'll have women flying in from all over Australia, which is always so exciting. To bring women together, the energy in that room when you've got women from everywhere together is just incredible. And I hear stories from women all the time who come to the conference and they're a bit down and they're a bit like, I don't know whether I'm going to keep doing this business. I'm not sure if it's for me. And then by the end of the conference, they're fired up and they're like, wow, if they can do that, then I can do this. I know I can. And so, I just love it. It's a beautiful event.
It definitely
you were talking about our community before, and we have the most beautiful community. They're so supportive and generous and encouraging, and there's lots of Facebook groups out there for women in business, but they're not all the same. There's plenty out there where you'll put a question up and they'll say mean things to you. That never happens in our community. We just seem to have attracted such beautiful people who genuinely want to help each other and support each other.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And you're right that the atmosphere of the awards and the conference is incredible. It really is. When women come together with the right intentions, and really are a community who support each other, real magic does happen, and it does inspire people to realise, like so often online, when you're not at an in-person event, you can sometimes see highlight reels and then start getting down on yourself and thinking, oh my God, nobody's going through this challenge like I am. But everybody is. What's personal is universal, and everybody is actually, if you felt it, someone else has felt it. And it's so beautiful when you come together in person at this event, and the women really get to experience some of those people that they may have only experienced online. And it gives a whole nother leash for the next year of their own business, and developing these relationships, these real relationships that add to the support network. Because I think in this situation, like you said, a lot of mums are balancing so many different things. So support is crucial. And not even support, like even just to be seen and acknowledged and heard by someone else, especially someone else that is in that same arena, is really helpful. So it is fantastic. And what a kudos to you for bringing such an incredible event to all mums in business. So
thank you.
Yeah, pleasure. That leads me to this women's business school, because I did judge that category last year as the finalists, and the women that were coming through, one of the common thread was how supportive the other women in the school were, how much they felt as being part of a community. So apart from all the incredible business skills that they learned, the actual way that it was run and the community that was formed within it, which is probably quite different than going to do a business course somewhere where you're pretty much alone. That was the thread that kept coming out and out, and it was fantastic. So tell us a little bit about this business school, and why is it different than any other type of business school?
I guess the Women's Business School, it's a bit like, I was talking before, we started Ausmumpreneur because we needed that support. We didn't have that support. The other thing that we needed was education. I'm traditionally a primary school teacher. So before I started my business, I didn't have experience in business. So it meant that when it came time to run my business, I didn't know how to get customers because I knew nothing about marketing. As a primary school teacher, you just turn up and the classes is all there. You never have to think about marketing. The other thing I didn't know about was finances. You don't have to do a profit and loss to run your formats. So there was skills like that I just didn't have. And I just kind of had to learn as I went. But what would have been amazing was if I could have done a course which covered all of those kind of topics and helped me to get things organized from the start. And so that's really the idea for the Women's Business School. Our Ignite program, which is for people who are pre-launch or in their first couple of years in business, has been designed to really give them a strong foundation in business. So we cover those topics: marketing, sales, finances, time management, goal setting, business planning, all of those kind of things that they need to get their business up and going and the foundation right. But it's interesting because, as we've been talking about, yes, you need all of those business skills and that professional development, but it's the personal development which is the real game changer. So stepping out of fear and being courageous and developing resilience and coming up with creative solutions to problems and having the courage to try new things and to try again when you've had a knock. That's the other side of the Women's Business School, which is different from all the other traditional sort of masculine focused online courses that are out there for people starting business. So it's that really nice balance of personal development and professional development. As well as that, our teachers are all women entrepreneurs. So they're all women who are actually out doing it. They're not just people who, you know, at universities often they're university lecturers and they're professional academics. They're not actually out there in the field running businesses, whereas our teachers are all running their own businesses. They're all women. So they bring that wealth of knowledge and real life experience, and they're relatable as well. So I guess that's really what makes us different. So we have two programs. So there's Ignite for people starting out, but then Accelerate is that next level. It's for people who are scaling up, who are moving into new markets. Perhaps they're going international, or they're going into a new demographic. Maybe they're launching a new product, or they're just scaling their business in some way, building their team. And so Accelerate's been designed for those women to really give them the support and the skills to scale their business. So in the Accelerate program, we cover a whole host of different topics. So scaling your business, pitching for investment and going for capital, authentic marketing, really being connecting and building your community. So it's a completely different sort of focus for Accelerate. It's at that next level. And as part of the Accelerate program, they do pitch at the conference. So they will be there at pitch night, and we've invited investors to come along, and they'll be up there on stage talking about their business, which, you know, for a lot of women, that's a huge step out of their comfort zone in itself. So it's pretty exciting.
Oh, that's incredible. I mean, those two programs sound so fantastic, and they really do cater for the different level of business that you're at. So is it a year? So what did you say? Did you say it's a year program?
6 months.
6 months.
It's a 6 month program.
So when does the next intake happen?
So next intake will be for 2020, and the program will kick off in April of 2020.
Okay. So if someone was listening to this and they're really interested in being involved in either one of the programs, the Ignite or the Accelerate, when would they get in touch with you?
Well, we've got expressions of interest are open at the moment, and you just go to thewomensbusinessschool.com and fill in an expression of interest, and then we'll be in touch in the new year to have a chat with you about the programs and whether you think it's a good fit for you, and whether we think that you're a good fit for the program as well.
Excellent. And is there a limit to the number of people that you take within the program?
Yeah, there is. We only take 25 for each program.
Brilliant. So it's nice and small. So it is really a very supportive community where there's really good personal attention, and all of the people who are running all the different lectures or different units or as part of the course would really know personally every single person's business and their missions and their visions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when it's a smaller group, you get more honest sharing. You're able to have real deep conversations and talk about the actual challenges you're facing. Whereas if it's 200 people in there, you're not really going to open up about things that are happening because you don't know every single person who's listening to what's being said. So it's that real sense of a safe space, which is really important, I think.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you so much. You've really shed the light on so much to do with women and entrepreneurs and some of the challenges that women are finding, as well as motherhood and the challenges of balance with that as well. You've given some great ideas of boundaries and some ways to structure things. We've talked about the awards and how fantastic that is in the Ausmumpreneur community and the business school that you're offering, which is, the education part of really empowering women to be able to follow their dreams. Are there any other actionable items or actionable ideas or tools that to help women be successful in business, to whatever success means for them, that you can share?
I think my best piece of advice for women is to really choose something that they're very passionate about and that they love. Because let's face it, business is hard. And if you're going to be doing it for a long time, and challenges are going to come up, but if it's something that you believe in and that you're passionate about, that's the thing that will keep you going, that will make you go, okay, this has been really hard, but I'm going to get up again tomorrow and I'm going to keep going because this is what I'm going to do. This is my purpose and my vision. So I guess that's my the most important piece of advice that I would give to somebody who is thinking about starting a business.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for all your contributions. And I know personally that peace is so accessible, and I'm sure that if you have any questions about your business or you want information, she has such a broad network that she would be able to advise you of who you might be able to speak to. I'm sure, would you say that you're happy to, if somebody is really interested to know who would be the right person to talk to, or they're just stuck and they just need a little bit of advice, would you be happy for people to get in touch?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and just get in touch. We'd be happy to help.
Awesome. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you, everyone, for listening to today's episode. Peace and I would love to hear from you. So what's your biggest insight or takeaway from today's conversation? Leave a comment and let us know. And if you'd like more information on Peace, or Ausmumpreneur or the Women's Business School, please be sure to follow them on social media. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please share it with your friends and consider subscribing to the Wealthy Living podcast on iTunes or on the Wealthy Living YouTube channel, so that you can listen to more conversations with wonderful humans whose stories, knowledge, actionable ideas and wisdom can help you live a meaningful, connected and well life, both personally and professionally. I'm Lisa, an integrated life, clarity and wellbeing coach, a workplace wellbeing consultant, a conversation facilitator and an event creator and host. To find out more about my services, you can visit my website at www.wealthyliving.com.au or connect with me on all my social media channels. Until next time, remember, connection is medicine.